December 7th, 1941. 6 Japanese carriers launch hundreds of planes toward Pearl Harbor. Bombs detonate magazines, torpedoes rip through holes, and the USS Arizona explodes with 1,177 souls aboard. It's one of the darkest days in American history. But let's change one thing. Moored at the entrance to Pearl Harbor is something no one understands. A 9,700-ton Arleigh Burke-class destroyer from 2023, the USS Jack H. Lucas, dropped into a battle it was never meant to fight. So what happens when the most advanced destroyer on Earth is unleashed during one of history's most infamous sneak attacks? Can it save the Pacific Fleet, or is it just one small destroyer against 6 massive carriers? First, let's look at what exactly we just dropped into 1941. The Jack H. Lucas is an Arleigh Burke Flight 3 destroyer with 505 feet of death-dealing technology powered by 4 gas turbines that scream like jet engines. She cuts through water at 35 miles per hour, faster than any battleship in Pearl Harbor. Her crown jewel is the SPY-6 radar system, an electronic eye that tracks hundreds of targets simultaneously from over 200 miles away. In 1941, the best radar barely sees 130 miles on a good day, while this destroyer sees everything. Below deck, 96 vertical launch cells hold an arsenal that would make Zeus jealous. Standard SM-6 missiles that hunt aircraft at Mach 3.5 from 100 miles away. Sea Sparrow missiles for anything that gets closer. Tomahawk cruise missiles that can delete a building from 1,000 miles out. For point defense, she's got a 5-inch gun that fires GPS-guided shells, plus a Phalanx CIWS. Basically a robot R2-D2 that sprays 4,500 tungsten rounds per minute at anything stupid enough to get close. It's impressive, no doubt, but this still won't be easy, and Admiral Chuichi Nagumo is making sure of that. His strike force includes 6 fleet carriers: Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, Hiryu, Shikoku, and Zuikaku, the apex predators of 1941 naval warfare. And their wings carry 353 aircraft flown by Japan's elite pilots. Among them are the legendary Zeros, fast, agile, and piloted by men who've been flying for years. Aichi dive bombers that can put a bomb through any rooftop from 10,000 feet up, and Nakajima torpedo bombers carrying specially modified shallow water torpedoes built just for Pearl Harbor's 40-foot depths. These pilots trained for months. They built scale models, studied photographs, and flew practice runs until muscle memory took over. They knew exactly which ships to hit and in what order. It's why the attack was so devastating in our timeline. 5:30 a.m. Japanese pilots warm their engines 230 miles north of Oahu. Inside the Jack H. Lucas's Combat Information Center, a technician notices something interesting on his scope. Multiple contacts are spotted long before they know they're being watched. But the SPY-6 radar isn't just seeing them, it's counting them. 183 aircraft in perfect attack formation. Their distance is 180 miles. Their time to target is 1 hour. General quarters sounds through the destroyer. Sailors sprint to battle stations, and the captain doesn't wait for permission. He orders immediate departure, and the gas turbines roar to life. The destroyer surges forward at 32 knots, racing to intercept as far out as possible. 6:15 a.m. The Jack H. Lucas clears Pearl Harbor's entrance. Her vertical launch cells already open. The ship's Aegis combat system automatically assigns targets and prepares for a bloodbath. The first SM-6 launches at 6:45 a.m. From his window, Lieutenant Commander Fuchida's wingman plane simply ceases to exist. They don't even know who they're fighting yet. Another Zero disintegrates. Then another. Pilots break formation, searching desperately for an enemy they can't see. Radio chatter erupts in panicked Japanese until suddenly, silence. The destroyer's electronic warfare suite is jamming every frequency. Each pilot is now alone in a sky of smoke and debris from their fallen comrades. The sneak attack has backfired long before they reached the front gates. The SM-6s keep coming. Supersonic death launched from beyond the horizon, guided by radar beams the Japanese can't see or understand. It's not so much a battle as it is an execution. 30 miles out, the surviving Japanese finally spot their tormentor, a gray knife cutting through the Pacific. The Zeros dive to attack, but the destroyer is already launching Sea Sparrows, shorter range missiles designed to handle 50 Gs in turns to follow a target. No amount of pilot skill matters when you're up against something like that. The torpedo bombers drop the wave height, desperate to get under the radar, confusing the Spy 6 for the primitive radar of their era. They quickly find out there's no getting under a Spy 6. The destroyer's 5-inch gun starts barking, each shell programmed to explode at the exact altitude of its target. 20 bombers become 10, 10 become 5. The survivors finally release torpedoes, but they're too far out and are simply launching in desperation. The destroyer's phalanx CIWS activates, a metallic scream that the ocean shouldn't hear for at least another 20 years. The tungsten stream creates a wall of lead that shreds the remaining bombers instantly. Torpedoes from the bombers who actually managed to drop them splash harmlessly into the empty ocean below. 7:45 a.m. The first wave is decimated. Of 183 planes, maybe 40 make it past the destroyer. They arrive over Pearl Harbor to find an angry fleet who were alerted over an hour ago. Every anti-aircraft gun is manned, and P-40 fighters are already airborne. Instead of sitting ducks, the Japanese find a hornet's nest. The few bombs that drop mostly hit water, and importantly, the Arizona never explodes. The Oklahoma doesn't capsize, and Battleship Row takes minor damage at most. But the real joke is that the Japanese don't know this. With radios jammed, the survivors can't report back. Admiral Nagumo must assume they're still on schedule and launches his second wave as planned. Another 170 planes sent flying straight into an invisible trap. The Jack H. Lucas has reloaded her ready cells. This time, she's not alone. American fighters vector in using the destroyer's data, and the sky over Pearl becomes a shooting gallery. The second wave loses 80% of its strength before even reaching the harbor. Zeros burst into flames, dive bombers tumble from the sky, torpedo bombers disintegrate into aluminum confetti. By 9 a.m., the destroyer has already finished what it's been delivered, so it's ready to go hunting. Her helicopter takes off from the deck and scouts north, data linking target coordinates back to the ship. The Japanese fleet is 200 miles out, 6 carriers, 2 battleships, and dozens of escorts. The Jack H. Lucas launches her Tomahawks, 8 cruise missiles that skim the waves at 500 miles per hour, their GPS brains following coordinates to where they'll be the least welcome. Akagi takes 2 missiles amidships and breaks in half. Kaga's aviation fuel detonates in a fireball visible from space. Soryu and Hiryu burn like Viking funeral ships. Admiral Nagumo watches his fleet die from weapons he can't comprehend. His proud carriers, the most powerful naval force in the Pacific, are reduced to burning scrap in minutes. The surviving Japanese ships flee west at maximum speed, their radios screaming about invisible planes and God-sent thunder, but nobody hears them. The destroyer still hasn't given them permission to communicate, so their radios lie silent. By noon on December 7th, Japan has lost 4 fleet carriers, over 300 aircraft, and thousands of their best naval aviators. American losses are minimal. It's nothing like the devastation in our timeline. The Pacific Fleet is intact, and the war just started with America holding all the cards. The Jack H. Lucas only carries so many missiles, but she's still changed everything. The Japanese have lost their best pilots, their carrier striking power is gutted, and American morale is through the stratosphere. The war in the Pacific might end 2 years early, the atomic bomb might never need to drop, and millions might live who otherwise wouldn't. Or what do you think would happen? And if you're curious what would happen if a modern jet fought at Midway, check out the video on screen now. Thanks for watching.